Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues. My name's Anthony. I'm an addict and an alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
And I'm LouiLou, and my pronouns are he and him. I'm in recovery for crystal meth and alcohol, and I am always in search of balance. Yes, and each week we strive to create a brave space where we can engage in conversations around topics of recovery.
And our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for more people in recovery to tackle issues sometimes used to separate us.
But before we do that, please like, share, comment, and rate this episode, and ding that bell.
Ding that bell, ding, 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 ding. And now the disclaimer. As soon as the music stops.
This is like the extended version.
It's the extended version. Okay. And now the disclaimer. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on At the CCC are ours alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. The material and information shared here is for general information purposes only. In other words, we're just a couple of friends behind a mic here to entertain you. We landed that plane.
We did.
We landed. It went.
Absolutely.
I don't know how I don't know what sound they make.
Oh my
when
God.
they land.
Guess who's back?
Guess who's back
in the house?
Back again.
With the bangs.
Guess who's back?
With
Guess
the
who's back?
bangs.
Well, we have two. With the bangs, Angel. We weren't talking about you yet.
You're talking about me, huh?
We were talking about Miss Bonnie Violet. So good to see you, love.
Hi, Bonnie Violet.
It's good to be here. Good to see you all too. Even the one in the middle there.
Even the one in the middle. I don't even know if we should introduce her yet.
No.
No.
Haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate. But we do have a special guest today. Her name is Linda Summers. Linda Summers.
Listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda. So Linda Summers, otherwise known as Angel. Angel, how are you doing?
I'm good, Anthony, and hi, LouiLou.
Angel's been working on pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah,
you did a wonderful job.
But hi everyone. Hi, Bonnie
I was
Violet.
gonna say you don't say hi to me.
It's so good
I
to
know.
see
I was
you,
gonna
Bonnie
say,
Violet.
really, that's starting this early.
But I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
We are so excited to have you on today.
Absolutely. We're in the presence of royalty.
We are
I am your almostness, not royalty just yet.
not just yet, and we'll
I'm
talk.
talking about you, period.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about what that means in a second. So everyone's doing well. Any updates from anyone about anything?
Well, I told you it's like I was going to take this time to
Black History Month.
Yeah. And the only fact that I got, because it's like I was telling you, I've been struggling. Like I typed in African American recovery or whatever, and usually the same things pop up. But something that is relevant. On average, Black Americans are more vulnerable to mental illness. There are several contributing factors stopping them from gaining access to care they need. Lack of knowledge, racism, poverty, oppression, violence, and so forth all contribute toward the lack of treatment. And I'm thinking that I'm only mentioning this because I want to start off by depressing everybody.
Yeah.
Because I definitely am. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis.
How are you doing? Because I want to make sure that we acknowledge
You know what? I love that you are learning how to be generous and inviting and hospitable. I love that the people listening get to watch you grow.
I must be learning from you. You're teaching me. Thank you so much for being, yeah.
I am sorry. Did I cut you off?
No,
I meant to. So I'm I'm kidding. So I'm kidding.
I can't.
And I'll tell you more about that in a second. Okay, so I'm doing really well. I'm really excited. Match day is on Friday, so that's the day when I find out whether or not I've matched with any of the places that I've applied.
Nice.
And then that'll determine what I'm doing for the next year. So I'm really excited about that. My partner, along with other friends, have done really nice things for me to prepare for that day. And there's some stuff happening on that day. So I'm feeling very grateful. While also, to keep it real, also feeling a little stressed out, because we don't know what the results are going to be.
Okay.
No, fabulous.
Yeah, fabulous.
Absolutely
Fabulous. Bonnie Violet, how about you?
Yeah, how are you?
What's up with you?
I'm really nervous today for some reason.
Oh my God, why is that?
Must be Linda Summers is here.
Oh, you think that's what it is?
I don't know what it is. I'm just like anxious, but nothing new to report really.
Yeah. Nothing. So I think we've gone through. What's that? You have to taking it all in.
Yeah. Yes.
Has everyone gone? There's 4 people at the table.
No.
Well, 3 here, 1 there. We've all gone. How about Louis? Have we said it?
I started.
Oh yeah, you did. We were talking about Black History Month.
Yes,
And
exactly.
Angel, have we said you yet?
I think I'm doing fine.
Okay. All right. And on that note, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for asking. Just working and getting ready for some big things happening pretty soon.
Big things.
Some really big, stressful things, but
I know. So let's hold on to that. Before let's tell people what we're doing here today. So as you know, Angel otherwise, what is up with my tongue today? I'm like Angel Summers, Angel otherwise known as Linda Summers is with us today. This is a continuation of our month on drag and recovery. And we are especially excited to see Linda today because at least I know Louis and I, and maybe even Bonnie Violet, we've seen you grow so much from like the very beginning into this amazing performer and person in the community. So we are all especially excited to chat with you today.
I know. Isn't it about time for that banner to come up?
Which banner? Oh, not Louis driving from behind the mic. So yeah, today's topic is drag growth with drag queens like Linda Summers and Bonnie Violet. All right. So Angel, we have 3 questions that we ask all of our guests. You have 3 minutes to answer 3 questions. And if you go over, I'm going to stop you. So the first question is, where are you from?
you have consent to touch me if I go over.
Okay.
All right. Well, I am from, I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I moved up to San Rafael during my middle school years. And I moved to San Francisco in 2017.
Okay.
Okay.
So, okay, go ahead.
And then my question for you is, what made you get into recovery? What made you get sober?
Well, I really was a mess. I did drugs since the age of 13, and by 22, I realized I was losing teeth from left to right, and I realized that I really needed to get my shit together, and so I finally decided to get into rehab, and that's when I was introduced to the 12-step program.
Is that really it? And then was that your first go around, or were there many first starts?
Good question. Relapse is part of my story.
Oh yeah, same as
yeah, it took, I got sober for 4 months and then relapsed for 3 months. And in those 3 months, I realized nothing changes. I just went back to the same, insanity. And
yeah.
Got
That's
sober in
relatable.
2019. Mm-hmm.
For sure. And then the last question is, what is your relationship to God or your higher power?
Yeah, my relationship with my higher power today is super fun, super loving, and sometimes dark.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you explain what you mean by sometimes dark? Yeah,
you can't say sometimes dark and just get
She was baiting us. She's like, they're going to ask me. Go ahead.
I mean, I feel like sometimes I really like to tap into into that darkness of that comes with sadness, anger, frustration. And I feel like by tapping into that, I'm able to tap into something bigger. I welcome more love into my mind, spirit, and body. And I have to acknowledge that my higher power is not always good. It can also, bring, it can also mean some darkness. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just jump right in. So my first question to you is, like I was mentioning earlier, we've all seen you grow from being this kind of shy person who is developing a character to this person who has a clear style and has a very strong presence within the
clear. No,
a clear style.
It can be confusing.
I get clear. Well,
okay, no, it's
confusing is the brand. Confusing is the brand.
It's called conception.
Your cutlets don't fall out anymore.
I know that's amazing. It's come on, because she doesn't wear boobs. She's just I'm gonna be boobless.
I just I wear mosquito bites now.
Mosquito bites. So how did we get here? How did Linda Summers become Linda Summers?
It all started in 2019. No, I'm kidding. No, it really did start in 2019, I think. I was newly sober. Bonnie Violet was doing this event at Glide for Drag and Spirituality, and I was asked to be the person who sort of welcomed folks as they came in. I was completely nervous about it because I was just what the hell? Why me? So I kind
You
of
were
got
so good.
Thank you. I mean, for me at that time, all I knew was eye makeup, right? Like eye makeup was my introduction to beauty and queerness and all of that stuff, right? And I was getting sober and I was attending Bonnie Violet's watch parties here at the Castro Country Club for RuPaul's Drag Race.
I remember, yeah.
And Ashley Madison, one of the contestants that year, was campaigning, and I remember winning a prize, and I got this like beautiful makeup kit with brushes and a couple of blushes and eyeshadows, and she was just like, "I'm so glad that you got this because I've seen some of your work, and I feel like hopefully if I win one day, you can come to my show." I was just like, sure, like whatever, like I don't know what she's talking about really. And I went to the pageant that year and it was so amazing. So much like
Ashley Madison?
Ashley Madison.
For
yes,
mascara?
For mascara.
Oh, I was one of her handlers there.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, that was a lot of
wow.
fun.
Yes, it wasn't it? Yeah, with the whole like Little Mermaid, and then there was like someone doing like
they were coming off of a really amazing year.
Yeah. Well, I will give you. Yes, I would like to highlight many happy returns because my first sober drag show was I think on Halloween, so it was the year you were reigning, and I remember.
I'm sorry.
I remember going there and not being entertained at all, and just thinking like, who is this, queen? Why does she think she has the guts to go up there?
Who gave her a mic?
Who gave her a mic? And she was so mean.
I gave you the courage to it's like, if she can do it, I can too.
At that time, I didn't know what shady was or like what. I just thought she was being mean to people, and I was just like, but then I got to see the performers, and then I got to see like the joy that they carried, and I was just like, there's something in here. I don't know what it is, but there's something in this group. And again, taking it back to Ashley Madison, after she won, I felt compelled to be in her first show, and that's when I got my start. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was there I have a follow-up question if LouiLou or Bonnie Violet.
No. It's like I'm gonna.
No. So so what I think is really awesome here is that there was a curiosity, or you like had a feeling and a curiosity. What made you trust that curiosity, right? A lot of people don't trust their like inclinations, but you did. What was that about?
Ooh, good question. I mean, I didn't feel like I had to get naked and have sex with all of you to do it. Because, it in a way where like, during my using days, I would like, meet with certain people who were into, dressing men, or like, doing that whole like...
Putting you in a
role
wig? Playing or whatever.
Yeah, putting in a wig and like saying like, do this for me and whatever. And you did it because, during that time I was in survival mode, right? Yeah. And so for me, that was just like an icky situation. I just didn't feel like me, right? Like I was just like, this is not what I want to do with my life or how I want to, whatever. I mean, for me specifically. And so when I found this community, it wasn't like, I didn't feel like I was doing it because I had to survive in some ways, or like I had to get something out of it, or like I was doing it for...
It became yours.
Yeah, like it became, something that actually meant something more than just, giving this person pleasure and getting a free fix for that day.
A free fix, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. It's interesting. It's like I feel, just hearing you, it's like we watched you hatch from an egg and just become this like dynamic, like queen that you are. I love that.
Do any of you have like first memories of Linda Summers?
Well, we were laughing about the cutlets coming out.
Yeah, I know. The big thing was the cutlets coming out of the shirt or of the whatever you were wearing. The boobs pop. Did you pop out of the bottom?
Yeah,
bottom side. It's like
it was during my Halloween number. I was doing this
as
song
the nun.
Called, yes, the nun.
Oh,
yes.
I love that one. Yeah.
That's when that happened. Chicken cutlet. Yes, Brandon. Yes.
We were.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say your drags evolved a lot too, from like how you were even your makeup or how you were like. I think what you presented, I guess, has really changed a lot as well.
Well, for me, I think in the beginning, it was important for me to do character. So I had to do the nun. I had to do cats. I had to do because again, I was really afraid to touch or to get reacquainted or to get acquainted with my femininity. Like I thought that Linda Summers had to be a clown, some sort of freak. She couldn't be this beauty queen or this, because again, I wasn't sober enough, and I hadn't worked the steps yet. I hadn't done enough therapy to sort of like work through that, and for me to really get comfortable with my own body and my own identity, and knowing that like I am a queer gay male who just loves to do drag and loves to express the whole, their femininity, through it. Yeah, I think that's how I have grown so much.
I have in the beginning, I mean, I have kind of become like this HR trainer for drag queens hosting shows. And so,
oh my gosh, yes.
Linda and I, we had the great fortune of hosting Fall Follies when we got back after the first live Fall Follies after the shelter in place. Mm-hmm. And what I noticed about Linda is that she was so kind of shy and into herself, and not it was just really it didn't seem like it would be really easy to get you to come out of your shell, which like, whoa, that is, it happened instantly. And all of a sudden it's like, I know you were talking about, you didn't know what shady was, but I think it's in your DNA.
Yeah. Could you say more about that? Because you've gone from being this like nervous, I remember the first time I saw you hosting and you were next to Minnie Happy Returns, which is, Minnie's personality is very big. It takes up all the air in the room. It doesn't fit.
And I think it's just tall, everyone.
and that's just her standing there.
Wow.
But jokes aside, Minnie's a seasoned.
We're looking for sound bites today. Huh?
but wigs take a lot of room.
But jokes aside, Minnie is a seasoned host, right? Yes. Minnie does hosting for fundraisers. She's very good at it. People look for her, right? And so standing next to a very seasoned MC, that must have been hard for you. So I'm wondering, how did you go from being this person who was like shy to being this person who has hosted her own ongoing year-long event, for example?
Well, from what I remember that night was that I was just like, I just looked like a statue, just standing next to her, like not doing shit.
Yeah, she was pretty.
She was,
yeah, she was pretty.
But what I think like got me out of that was that I allowed someone to give me a suggestion, or that night, she was just like, hey, you should make this joke. If you look behind you, all the decorations are falling down or falling apart. So it's really staying true to the name of the show, the Fall Follies. So make that joke. And I said, okay. And I made that one joke and people laughed. And I was just like, thank God, And I got a taste. A taste of what that looks like when you just sort of read the room and say, okay, what can I make fun of? What can I, like how does this tie into the theme? Or, like what are people saying in front of me, right? Like pick up on that, what I mean? And I think that's what that's what I saw Louis doing a lot. She was interacting.
It's about taking risks, because I think that like folks are going to receive it or they're not going to receive it, but it's like you can recover after, but sometimes you just have to do it.
Yeah, you just have to trust yourself. So I think that's what happened.
Funny, Violet.
Do you feel like it seemed like you got a lot of confidence and became more comfortable, obviously, the more times you did it, like it's a practice, and you just like got to keep doing it, and you get a little bit better each time, and you learn something and you take it with you to the next time, or you don't, if it's not good. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah. I love that. Go ahead.
And I watch a lot of reviews, like, on YouTube, a lot of reviews. And I like,
reviews of
drag
what?
Queens making, doing review videos of like,
other queens,
of other queens, episodes of drag, RuPaul's Drag Race. So I feel like I kind of picked up on some of like,
that's
what's
very smart.
Because there's
what's
a skill.
not,
Obviously I can tell, because one of the things that I can really appreciate about like, and maybe it's because you're so tiny and sweet or whatever, like Linda would say something that like the normal person would say and probably get their ass beat.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's so funny. It's so cute. And then also the accent. So it's like, come on. It's like you can get away with a lot.
Yeah. That's interesting, because one of the way I would categorize your drag, and you and I are currently working on a number together. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I love about your style is that I would describe it as like odd, weird, playful, and beautiful. Does that feel about right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think at some point in like during the pandemic, what I learned during that time, was that that it doesn't have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It doesn't have to be beauty and clownish. That it can be everything all at once. So I feel like I try to remember how I wanted to start my drag, journey and where it sort of took me, and sort of just picking up what worked for me and putting it together. So yes, I will say.
Don't you feel like your world your world around the drag kind of opened up when you made that decision? Because I think the thing that I struggled with the most, and I think a lot of people when they want to perform, I want to be a showgirl, I want to be beautiful or whatever, and you get so caught up in that you forget to just relax and have fun. And as once I decided, okay, Minnie's a clown, because I went out there and people laughed everything I did. It's like, okay, I'm a clown, embrace that. And in turn, embracing that, it really has done a number on helping Louis to become the person that Louis is becoming,
Yeah.
I love that. Go ahead.
I mean, it just takes me back to that philosophy of not taking yourself too seriously. The Sisters of the Perpetual Indulgence, that's all they preach. Not taking yourself too seriously and just having fun. Are you having fun? Yeah.
This is a question for all of you. I'm wondering, because you've all have mentioned the self at some point. I'm wondering how especially with recovery, how does drag feed yourself out of drag, right? What is it that drag does to, for fear of using this word, but for lack of a better word, maybe is what does drag do for your soul? What does it do for the person who still has to do a 9 to 5?
Yeah. I think for me, the thing that comes to mind is that, I think that sometimes when I get into drag, I'm not feeling it, I'm having a hard time in life. I might be really depressed and I'm struggling, but then I get into drag and, I put it on and, I put my drag on in a way that draws attention. I'm a look queen. And so I just see people light up and they don't see what's going on underneath. They just see everything going on. And then that creates some sort of higher frequency in them. And then once they reflect that back to me, then I'm able to pick it up as well. And so for me, it really is an opportunity for me to charge my batteries and really connect spiritually. It's for me, I know it's not for everybody, but drag is a very spiritual experience for me. It's also a ministry for me as well. Not in the sense of trying to save people or whatever, but just in the sense it's what I'm putting out into the world in the hopes of having a positive impact on the lives of people that I come in contact with.
That's beautiful. How about you two? Yeah, y'all looking at each other well, you want to take this?
I don't know, I just do it.
Well, no, I agree with you. I think that the drag is spiritual, but I think that okay, so there's this. I think it has to do with walking towards fear with courage. What's interesting, and I'm starting to understand that I'm probably more of an ambivert than anything. And that at times I'm completely on and.
Can you tell us what that means?
Well, okay, so
what'd you call yourself?
I'm not.
You're a pervert?
At times I'm extrovert, and at times I'm introverted.
Okay.
There are times when when I'm out and about and folks will see me and they're like, oh yeah, because I always talk about I always do the things that push me right into the center, kind of like this, and the drag and what have you. But I really value my downtime. I like my alone time. I like what? Oh my God!
Hey, Terra and Uranus. Hey.
Hi, Jamie.
So basically, I think that like we were talking about, practicing, working certain muscles or whatever. When I'm out of drag, you guys know it's sometimes I don't like people, but I still, get it. Minnie's teaching me how to be cordial. How to not, how to be grateful too. How to be grateful because the alternative always is if no one is doing it, or if either people are reaching out, loving, supporting you, telling you how amazing you are as Minnie, or they're not. And I don't want that. For me, I just want just enough like season, but sometimes you've got to take what it is. So I think that, Minnie is always encouraging, and I'm going to say encouraging Louis to be a better version of himself. Yeah.
How about you, Angel?
I have forgotten the question. I inhaled too much setting powder.
I have a question for Linda too.
Oh, okay. Let's hear.
Linda does drag.
Hey, Sayoni Gray.
Say Oni.
Hey.
I love everyone's coming for you.
I do Clown Fuckery.
Bonnie Violet has a question.
On the topic of growth, I know when you first started doing drag, and we both started kind of around the same time. I might have technically started a little sooner, but I think you were a little quicker than I to catch on. And you would sometimes, we had this thing where you would tell me what I needed to do, and I was able to put boundaries there. But I remember also though that you used to have to be perfect, or you have to have it like all put together, and I've sensed that that's went away a bit. How have you done that? If you have.
I mean, for those who do not know, I'm sober, right? So I just worked my steps around
Wait, you're
it.
sober?
I am, unfortunately.
And a drag
no,
queen.
I'm kidding, fortunately. But I would say that, I mean, it all started off like, yes, perfection was so important to me because, coming from like a religious group where like they told you that you had to be as perfect as the Heavenly Father, right? I had that mindset, like I had to be perfect. And so what will happen is that after every performance, I will call my drag mom, Miss Shugana, and I will like literally call her for like an hour and just be like,
Miss Shug,
yeah, Shug dog. Okay, I will call her and like we will go over my number for an hour, just like kind of pinpointing everything that I did wrong. I should have smiled more. I shouldn't have blinked. Why am I even there? And by the end of each conversation, she'll be like, well, did you have fun? And I would be like,
yeah.
Wow, and that was like eye-opening, like don't do it if you're not having fun.
There's a gift. The gift too. Did you get anything from like doing all that preparation and still finding that when you do it, it's not exactly what you had in mind? And
Yeah, and sometimes some of my best performances are when I am sad or going through a hard time, honestly, like surprisingly, actually. But to answer your question, what was your question?
My question earlier? My question earlier was what parts... Now I don't even remember. But was it the self part, Linda doing drag? What did Jaylon write? Was that another one?
Linda does drag.
Linda does drag. Well, I was talking about like how is yourself fed by drag?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the person who has to work the 9 to 5, how does your drag feed that person?
How does drag give you life?
Yeah.
Well, I work in the...
Thank you for the translation. That was the queer translation. Go ahead.
No, well, I work in a field where like I have to prioritize the needs of others and really meet them where they're at. And that could be emotionally draining at times.
Yeah.
I've talked to you about it before.
Of course, yeah.
And so I think anyone who's working a 9 to 5 or whatever job trade you're in, like you need some sort of creativity or some sort of like hobby,
Agreed,
to find balance and to
release.
To find release. And so I think that by what drag does for me or how it feeds me, it sort of allows me to feel connected to others, because I think a lot of times when I'm going through stuff or like when I'm having a hard time, I feel like I'm all in it by myself, but then I'm reminded that I'm not. And drag sort of, I mean, at least my drag, which is deeply rooted in service, tells me that I don't have to go through it alone. I don't have to, feel it alone. I can reach out to a friend. Maybe I should set up a rehearsal, and I think it gets me into action. So I don't always have to, I guess it's okay to say still too. But anyway, that's what it does.
It's interesting because when I think about and then we have a comment. When I think about your drag too, I think about how there, like your level of polish seems like it's come from a lot of discipline, which I imagine has come from learning how to take feedback from people who were more seasoned than you. And so I wonder, like, I know just as an addict and alcoholic, it's sometimes I bristle when people give me feedback because I'm like, what do you know that I don't know? You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, and then we can take this comment. I'm wondering, like, how has recovery enabled you to actually hear feedback as constructive rather than something that's like hurting you?
Well, whenever I'm curious about something, or I need to sort of like, I need to find an answer to something that I'm like, trying to figure out. My sponsor always tells me to talk to five other people in the program, people that I feel like I trust and who work a program that I want or feel like super inspired by. And so
I love it. That's why you're always talking to me, huh?
Yeah. No,
that's because he ran out of people to talk to.
There was nobody answered the phone. It's not on.
And so by doing that, I get all that feedback. Yeah. I hear all that feedback. Or maybe consider doing this, or I've done it this way before. And so I think that's what has like made it easier for me to take feedback, from others when it comes to my drag.
Absolutely.
It's just working my program. Utilizing the tools that that are given to me from the program and putting it into practice in other areas of my life, whether that's drag, work, relationship, or
practicing the principles and all your affairs.
That's excellent. Let's see that comment. Jaylon writes, Anthony, answering the question about what drag does, I will say being in touch with the feminine that Sione is Sione, and the essence of all the women I've been influenced by has connected Jaylon to a confidence that I didn't think I possessed as a gay gender non-conforming person. I love that.
Jaylon's like one of those queens from RuPaul's Drag Race that leaves early, and then he's post on Instagram like what I would have worn in this contest or with this. Yes, Jaylon, let us have it.
One of the things I really appreciate about Sione is that because we got to work on something together. And Tongo LELÉ, who we're going to have next week, was the level of professionalism that she brings to her drag. She was like a quick study. Like she was not running around and making jokes, but she was focused. I'm saying that because Angel and Merrick, who we were all working together, and Angel and Merrick were always like running around doing something ridiculous. But it was wonderful. It's like great to have those people on set.
Absolutely.
We picked it up.
Yeah. But did we do it? Go ahead.
The other thing that the three of us that we all get, like drag, especially the type of drag you were talking about, like service and spiritual or whatever, it gives us on top of this community that we have another layer, a deeper layer of community. And that, to me, I think that fortifies Louis. That fortifies because it's like there are times when, I need people and I need to be able to go deeper, because I'm struggling, whatever, or I just need to know that I'm connected to something. And like you were saying, drag reminds me that I'm connected to something.
Yeah.
I think it is helpful that that a lot of the drag artists that I'm really close with are also in recovery. So I think that's also really helpful because, and I would say, Linda and I are good friends and we both do drag and we both kind of have done drag together, but I see us as more of like spiritual sisters. We've had really deep spiritual conversations. Like Linda prayed over my hormones before I took them. We've had some really tender, special moments, kind of outside of drag. But it, I wonder how much of drag has helped, keep that relationship going and maybe added to the intimacy. I think it did add to the intimacy because part of that was also when Linda had decided to not do drag because of her spirituality. We were able to have a conversation about that as well.
I was going to say, I think it's that relationship. I know for me, it's those relationships that have helped me to continue to do drag because we all have that moment where I'm like I'm constantly in that moment, like after I perform, I'm good. I'm not doing it again.
Sorry, Linda. I'm always spilling your tea.
No, it's okay. It's in my vote for me request letter.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on the relationship piece. So I've talked. I don't think I've ever talked about having danced professionally for years, and that's what brought me out here. And one of the things that I really loved when I was growing up as a young dancer was the community that I was forming. So I danced in these. My two favorite experiences growing up were in these two dance troupes, and both of them we did backup for drag queens, right? So there was one drag queen and we worked at two different nightclubs, and the community that I formed around drag and dance and stuff like that, those people, I love them to this day. Some of us have passed. But I bring that up to say that when you talk about the relationships, that's the first thing that comes up for me is just how close performers can be. I think part of it is there's something really special about the art form, about standing in front of people, and giving of yourself, right? Because that's what's happening when you're on stage. You're giving of yourself. And then that's one of those things that I think I miss, which I've been trying to cultivate this year. So Linda, were you going to say something?
No.
Bunny Violet? No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask a question, but
yeah, what is it? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say to Minnie and Linda or whoever, if there was somebody who was doing drag, or maybe I would say maybe think about somebody who's doing drag, but they're kind of stuck in a rut with their drag, or they kind of feel like they've hit a wall. Do you have any, suggestions or thoughts in kind of how you could, what that person could do to kind of rejuvenate their love for drag or passion for drag?
You know what I'll say? Like I say to my sponsors and anybody else, first of all, check your motive. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it for the accolades? Are you doing it because you want people to? If you think about why you're doing it, I mean, because for me, I realize that the most fun I have and the best time I have is when I'm doing it for people that I love. I always say that. It's when I'm performing, hosting, and I look in the audience and I know that I care about people. I mean, that to me gets me going. The other thing is trying different things, like taking a break or not taking a break, but trying different things. I really love I think one of my favorite performances of Linda's was her coming out in the cow outfit. She had this absolute beautiful face, and she danced and did her thing for the whole time. And I was I saw the joy and everything, and I'm and the silliness and everything. And I'm I was so inspired. I was inspired not to do it, but to maybe come back and watch her do it again.
So Linda, you've accomplished quite a few things in such a short amount of time, and you have some stuff coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about the stuff that you have coming up?
Yeah, I mean, to sort of answer Bonnie Violet's question as well, I think that, and I'll tie it to your question.
Sure.
Is that for me, it's always been about just doing it to be of service, right? By being of service, you're sort of realizing that you will find something that will maybe re-inspire or reignite that fire in you, because drag isn't easy. Okay, it takes a lot to put it, to put everything on, hours, prep time. You probably don't eat that whole day, and
yeah, because you don't want to go once you get in the outfit.
Especially, and with that being said, I think that as Anthony mentioned, I think by being of service, I have sort of exposed myself to a bigger community, to a greater community. It's not just the Castro Country Club. It's other organizations that are doing the same kind of work, which is bringing people together, building relationships. And that's how I got sort of introduced to the Imperial Council of San Francisco and the Grand Ducal Council of San Francisco and so many other organizations. And over this last few years, I have found a passion to just to be of service and to represent my community. And so this year I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and I am the candidate for Empress of all of San Francisco, which means that if I am to be elected Empress, then I will get to raise money for a whole year by organizing and putting together title contests where people can come and participate and raise money for organizations that we're raising money for. And why that's important for me right now is because I think that with everything that's going on in the world, we need younger leaders. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, but what I do know is that showing up is enough sometimes, right? And I think that voting day is this Saturday.
Is this Saturday?
It's this Saturday.
Yeah, tell us more about voting.
Yeah, so the way that this works is that Empress is a community elected position. So I need people who have a valid ID that shows residency in San Francisco, San Mateo, and Marin counties to come out and vote. There are 3 locations where you can cast your vote. That is at the Castro Union Station from 12 to 6. You can go to the Cinch Saloon from 1 to 4, or you can go to the Powerhouse from 1 to 5. And again, you must have a valid ID that shows your residency in San Francisco, Marin, and San Mateo counties.
Thank you,
Or
Angel.
San Mateo counties.
That's wonderful. And so with that, we're going to start landing the plane before we go to our podcast exclusive material. But before we do that, Linda, thank you so much for coming
Yes,
on.
thank
This
you,
has been
Linda.
absolutely wonderful. We wish you a lot of luck in this up and coming election.
Yes, and so the Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQ recovery community.
We provide programs and services that help people change their lives by supporting personal growth.
Our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community, opportunity, and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
Yes, and tune in every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when we go live on our Castro Country Club Facebook and YouTube channels.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Oh, there it goes. How was that for you, Angel?
Yeah.
No, don't keep your headphones on.
You won't be able to hear us.
Yeah.
You can't hear.
You won't be able to hear Bonnie Violet.
Oh, got it. That was amazing. I can eat?
Yeah, you can eat. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be annoying to people listening, but it's fine.
Oh, people are listening?
Yeah. Well, no. Well, this is for podcast
Or
exclusive
repeat.
content. Yeah. But and sit up closer again. Yeah.
Girl. Doing ASMR.
This was fabulous. I had so much fun. Oh my gosh, you guys had so many good things to say about me. What the fuck?
Yeah. You're so wonderful.
No, it was like, I was like, when did you become a bitter queen? Like, was there something that happened?
I've noticed that your talent has started to dwindle. Why is
You
that?
went from nice queen to a mean queen.
I met many happy returns. That's what happened.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah, right? Yeah, she just rubs up on you. I don't
And
know.
this is why it's rubbing off, and this is why all of a sudden I'm all bubbly and happy.
Because we're taking the
Well, no, you need to like when you're around Lewis, you have to learn how to defend yourself.
Oh my God.
I remember that. I sure do.
You sure do. So that was enjoyable for you. I'm really excited about the ducal stuff for you.
I know. Not
Yes,
the Duco,
the
the
Imperial.
Imperial.
Are they? Sorry,
They're a separate
They are
organization.
separate organizations. There's ducal council, and then there's the
I had
Imperial
to learn
Court.
I had to learn the difference because I didn't want to be in anyone.
The Imperial Council and the Ducal Court.
Imperial Council and Ducal Court. Very cool.
Yeah,
And they're
Yeah,
both.
they're a huge commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're humongous commitments. Yeah.
The Imperial Council was before, huh?
Yes, they are the mother court. They
Aren't
started
they?
off in
Aren't they both
1965.
national?
Yes.
They're both national.
Yeah,
okay.
there's one in Boise where I'm at. Are you gonna visit? Are you gonna come to the, what do they call it, coronation here?
I don't know.
If you're interested.
I mean, if it's
Yeah, I mean,
feasible.
I know you don't. You travel around to different places.
I'll go there if there's if
Boise
there's one.
comes up, come say hi.
Yeah. I'll stay with
Say
you.
hi.
Come say hi. It
Was it
is.
60 did you say it was 65 years old the other day?
Who was 65?
No, they've been around since 1965.
Oh.
So they are about to be 60 years next year.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so I'll be the 59th elected Latina Empress.
That's so cool. Wait, Latina Empress? Is that a title?
No, but
Oh,
you
just
know,
Empress.
Yeah, like I will be the third elected Latina Empress.
Oh, no way. That's
Because
very
it was
cool.
it started off with Alexis Miranda. She was absolute Empress 33.
What's absolute Empress mean?
It's a title.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
vodka.
It's like
Like-
Miss Castro Country
It's like a
Club.
vodka.
Oh, like I was like, what a great name. Yeah, absolute Empress.
Yeah, and then it took about like maybe 20 years, like 22 or 23 for Juanita Moore to step up.
Juanita Moore? Oh, yeah. She's wonderful.
So there was like a long periods of time before like, any other Latina decided to
Yeah,
step
I
up in
mean,
that
do you have
role.
an opinion about why that might be?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't. Maybe because it looks expensive.
Well, also drag is interesting in San Francisco. It's like it's interesting in San Francisco. I think that like the type of drag that some folks do doesn't lend themselves to fundraising to maybe committing because it's a commitment in itself. I mean, because you're not just in the drag performing, you're in drag for a lot of.
Oh yeah, I know. I feel like every time I see you, Angel, you're like coming from a gig. And you're like always not in face, or you're like getting in face or getting out of face. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been in training for this last couple of years, so I feel like it was either now or never for me, at least, because I have the energy. So I said, why not use it while I have it?
What I will say is, I love that you took the time and you focused on things in life that you needed to focus on.
Yep.
You were Miss Castro Country Club, and you did a wonderful job then. And like I think that like. It's that, I don't want to say it's ego, but I'm going to say sometimes it's ego that causes people to kind of move forward and do things, a little prematurely.
Oh, sure.
And so I think that it was for me, I see that as a sign of maturity, and you're able to kind of do this in the way that you want to do. Like you're in control of this next phase of your life. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, like, if I had not had the amount of recovery time and the amount of recovery, it can really consume you.
It can, honestly. Like, I mean, like you were talking about feedback, like that's all I've been getting from people.
Yeah.
Especially from the core system, especially from like old, more mature folks. And it can be hard. It's kind of like, we're bigger titties. I'm like, what's wrong with my mosquito bites? Let me be like.
Well, there's also
Bigger
kind of like
bigger
that,
tits,
and all I want to do is just rip their, but no. Principles before personality.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's so interesting because I imagine that the principles of 12-step lend themselves well to being in the drag community because there are a lot of personalities out there.
There sure are.
Go ahead.
And like within the court system in the drag community, it's just a reflection of the rest of the world too. So a lot of the problems that we have in the world around racism and sexism and, sizeism and ableism and all those sorts of things. They don't just like stand at the door because you're in drag. All those things are still come with you. And that's why probably Linda is number 3 instead of like number 27 or something.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking too about how, especially like with the house system and the ducal system, that each of these different systems, they appeal to a specific type of drag, right? Like they're pageant queens, we've talked about this before, pageant queens, comedy queens, glamour queens, Instagram queens, right? And so I imagine that the type of drag that I see, for example, in like the Northeast, in like micro communities, so say like the Latino community, I imagine that maybe sometimes that's not lending itself well to say like a royal drag court or something like that. I don't know. This is just conjecture, but I love what Bonnie Violet is saying is that the systemic issues that we see, like she said, outside it's not like they stop when we enter the queer community, much less the drag community.
In Idaho, we just had like our first Black Empress, like I think a year or 2 ago.
Oh wow!
So so it's like and part of it is yes, we're in Idaho, but I think even San Francisco, which can be fairly diverse, maybe not as diverse as like Chicago or New York or something, but yeah, I mean, and I think there was, balls kind of did spin off of the pageants being so white and so like just racist. And so like the ball community and, communities of color really had to they chose, to create their own. They're like, why am I playing this game with people who are not going to give me the same, opportunity? And they made something better in my opinion, but Not that there's anything better than the other.
But I love what you're saying though, because what you're talking about, you see reflected in other places too, right? Like when we look at like law firms, for example, there was a time when like Jewish attorneys were not invited into certain law firms, and so they started their own thing. And it was the same thing with the African American community with historically Black colleges, right? It was like they were being denied entry, so they were like, the African American community said, "All right, y'all want to play this game? We're going to create our own college and university system." And so, and so we saw that within like the drag ball scene, et cetera.
Yeah.
Well, what an interesting note to end on. Any final thoughts? There is one thing that I wanted to ask before you love drugs. Oh, right. We'll edit that one out.
Is this being recorded still?
Yeah, we're still being recorded. Yeah.
We're just talking out loud.
Yeah.
So funny.
We only said that before we filmed, during we filmed, we said it a second, but we, so for people, for young drag, artists or drag artists that are like struggling to like find their place, do you all have any advice for them?
Give up.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Give up, don't do it.
What are you thinking?
I mean,
Just the opposite.
I would say like find spaces where you can be of service. Like honestly, like I feel like I wouldn't have the success that I have today if I didn't do it from, out of just wanting to be of service, for a long time. Like, cause by putting yourself out there and doing all these free shows and helping to raise money for other charities, like you get the exposure. And next thing you never know who's in the crowd, and next thing you know, they're like, "We want you to come perform." You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it becomes a career for you. I mean, I didn't do it with that intent, but I have seen that that's what has happened.
I think at least when it kind of reminds me of like when I'm motivated by like my love for people, or like when I'm being service oriented, things just kind of like fall into place, exactly. Right? It's similarly like when I'm focused on, maybe another way of phrasing that is like on God or recovery, everything else starts to fall into place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I think maybe for folks who don't have people who live in smaller communities that may not have a bunch of sober drag artists, I think if you are in recovery, I think, there's ways that you can connect with, sober drag artists that might not be in your own area that still might be able to help you with kind of managing some of the unique experiences that might come up. Because, like in Idaho, most any performance that you're going to do in drag is in a bar. So there's very few places outside of a bar in which you can do drag. And so how do they manage that when there's not a community specifically for that,
Yeah. And then coming from my jaded end, it's like, well, you know what? I just check your motives. Why are you doing it? Make sure you understand why you're doing it. I mean, if you understand why you're doing it and being honest and keeping it real about what your motivation is. I mean, that's important, because I think sometimes like we are so ashamed or whatever, caught up with, and we're not able to be honest about why we do stuff or whatever, and maybe we're called on it, or I don't know. I just own your choices, be okay with, if I'm doing it because I want people to just really kind of like me, that's good, whatever it is, but own it.
Yeah.
Own it.
That sounds like that Drake song. Own it.
Absolutely.
Own it. All right. Well, thank you for listening this far in. We love you. Tell your friends about us. And I guess that's it.
And follow me on
next week.
Instagram.
Till next week. Bye.